All right. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of Talking That Talk Official Podcast. As we bring you comfortable and uncomfortable conversations, I am your host, Juice, aka No Ordinary Brother.
All right, what's good, everybody? I go by the name of King Exodus, aka X. As always, we appreciate y'all for tapping in, for tuning in. Make sure you share the live. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure you share the video. Thank y'all. Tuesday night, we're a little late. You know what I mean? Once y'all go over there, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Hey, we can quit our day jobs, man. We can do this full
Yeah, man.
time. We
It's
can be
all right.
early.
This is the only reason why we
This
got on
y'all
time
fault.
right
This
now.
not
We
our
got
fault.
work.
This
We got
y'all
work.
fault.
God
Yeah,
damn it.
yeah. All right, what we talking about, man?
All right, man. Tonight's episode is Grow with Time. It's important as we get older, our mentality also develops in a healthy manner. We have individuals who get older, but not necessarily their mentality changes, right? Reason why I want to talk about this subject because I realize people are still using the same lingo and language we once used as kids and adolescents. To a point, it's like, yo, what the fuck are we talking about now, man? Like, for instance, man, it was one time me and X was out. Um, Me and X was out. We happened to come by somebody that we used to be cool with, and they were like, "Man, where all the hoes at?" Me and X looked at each other like, "Yo, he still say that shit." And one of the things we kind of differentiate when it comes to women now is the language you use when it comes to, the terminology and language you use when it comes to how you speak about them. If you're thinking of hoes, we like, damn, he still ain't grown up. We boys, so like, what's up, like with the women you speak to, you know? So that's just a little intro right there. I could go ahead and give one more example. I talked about this before. It's like anytime when I hook up with certain friends and acquaintances I once had in the past, I notice I can always get them to come depending on the language I use, right? If I tell some of my homeboys like, "Hey, look, we get older, let's get lunch," they'll be like, "What that mean?" But I'd be like, "Yo, let's get together, let's link up, let's go get active." Like, shit, I'm there, whatever the hoes had. So it's like, damn, we can't even use a mature language or a different coding now because you're still conditioned to how we once were talking in order for us to uh, link up and get in contact or connect with each other. That's all I got right there.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. The older you get, your conversation should definitely grow as well. We can't get higher up in age and then a conversation it never leave high school. Like we can't do that. I mean, so I'm gonna talk about information, knowledge. Like you grow throughout time as your information grows as well. So one thing a lot of people do that I'm noticing is we have loyalty to low level or medium levels of information. And it's like a loyalty. And it shouldn't be. Like whatever you believed in 3 months ago, it should be different now. You know what I'm saying? Whatever you knew about a particular topic or subject 6 months ago, it should be different now. So as we advance throughout time, our conversations develop because we learn more. I love it when people have like little debates about who's smarter, who knows what, science, money, whatever. And then they can go back to that person years later and say, man, look, I did some more research. I see what you was talking about. That's a beautiful thing. That's growth, right? Because what tends to happen is a lot of people look at knowledge and information from a biased standpoint. So even when they try to learn new things, they're only trying to support what they already know. They're not trying to get out of that type of thinking. They only want to stay stuck within that particular realm. So it's just like something key that I've been into lately is like numerology and mathematics being the language of God. So we have the number 7, which would be the number of God frequency, particularly meaning like, let's say if you're having a bad day, quote unquote, what is a bad day? But let's say shit not going right. The
Right.
easiest thing you can do is speak truth to power and be like, my day is fucked. Everything is chaotic. What tends to happen then? More things fall apart than what is already happening. That God frequency number. Or you can say, look, this is still a good day. I'm gonna make the best out of it, regardless. This is good. We're changing the frequency of the day. So now The day is responding to your mood. Now we're tapping into universal law. So knowledge and information changes the way we perceive everything. So it's kind of like you speaking truth over your mood, over your life, over everything. So the minute you succumb to negative energy and you give it power, it's over and done with. I was talking to a family member recently, and they needed some help financially. And they had a lot of chaotic events just compiling on top of one another. And it came to a particular point to where it's like, money can't even save you right now. Nothing can save you right now, because we have years of bad decisions that led us to this particular point. So the biggest way I knew this person has not grown throughout time is they're not responsible for any of the bad things that's happening in their life. Life is happening to them. They're not in control of their life. So that's my intro. With knowledge and information, we can find out how do we gain power and control over our existence. So our conversations change. We don't want to be the smartest person in the room. You know what I'm saying? We actually value other people being smarter than us. And we value being in other rooms to where we can be the smartest person, because now people can feed off of our energy. But we always have to grow and be humble. And I'll close off on this note. I was selling juice the other day. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people want to debate certain things. Like, a lot of people don't believe like you can inherit trauma through your DNA. But some people actually study it. It's scientific information that leads us back to epigenetics. So when people use this word in a conversation,
that's the word. Yeah.
If you don't know the word, or you don't know the scientific lingo or the words that this person is using, fall back a little bit. It's okay. Now this is like opportunity for growth. It's not opportunity to be egotistical. It's opportunity to grow. So even if you want to study it in a biased perception and be like, okay, I'm going to learn what epigenetics are just to prove this person wrong, what happens? You break the barrier of you being biased and you actually learn. So these are the type of things that happen in conversations. People are using words and terminology that's showing, hey, I know what the fuck I'm talking about. And that ego kick in to people, and they like, I'm just going to stand on my square regardless. You know what I mean? So we definitely want to put in time and becoming smarter. So you got it.
Right. So I'll even be honest with everybody. I am one of those individuals who talks about the traits of trauma that does break within X amount of generations. But at the same time, as he said, when it came to, say it again, I fuck up on
Epigenetics.
Epigenetics. There are triggers that do reactivate within your DNA at the same time. It don't necessarily come, it could come from a different experience. Like, for instance, like it could trigger from you being the oppressed person or being the oppressor, and it will trigger and activate like that. So I was like, oh, damn, okay. So there is some truth to that. So like I said, but even like in my research, they still say it's a cutoff point, but that epigenetics also puts a light in there, so I can no longer just say it's a cutoff point, because then I have to be able to be like, okay, I'm not learning this stuff for no reason. So I'll thank X for that, because you know we definitely had some back and forth on that until I started doing some research on that. Knowledge information is powerful, right? One thing he was talking about for even I believe like even the spiritual world is completely different from how I thought as a child, right? I remember one of my teachers, man. Yeah, I gonna laugh, right? Before I started getting into the sage and the crystals and all that, I used to think people like that were weird as shit. I was like, yo, he's walking around with a rock in his hand. What the fuck is wrong with this man? Hey, yo, get this nigga beat. Like, I was that guy. Right, I clown the mess out of you, but then I always have a curious heart and a mind. Like, I'm like, you know what? Let me ask some questions. Let me see what's going on, right? And my teacher would finally like break it down on different things. Like, okay, this crystal is used for this. What you want to do is put it in sunlight or do things like that. Like, X will tell you, like, I went through several different crystals. In my lifetime, I still have one of these things right here. Oh boy, they made for me. My whole prism right here. So I got the unks inside. I got lapidus in it. I got a whole bunch of different things when it comes to crystals. Because like I said, I allow myself to grow and want to learn these different things within my life. It's stuff like that that can make you powerful, or at least be on a level of you understand what's going on in the world. Where like
Mhm.
basically, they say nothing is ever wrong, or everything is right. It's just according to your mindset. Even if, because your fact is only a fact to you, but it might not be a fact to another individual. Just like truth is a perception. I was like, yeah, okay, I can understand that now. You know what I'm saying? But back then, like I said, it's just a lot of growth that you have to go through, even with development, right? Image is another thing. I still see people that's like in their 60s dressed in FUBU and Fat Farm. You know what I'm saying? Like, yo, man, that's like the 90s and 2000s. Like, never put on a suit. They, you know what I'm saying? They got the hat to the side, and I'm like, damn, man. Like, you know, we be calling them school now.
Right.
And
School
like
still
image,
trying to push
like
people,
growing with
talking
time,
to the 20-year-olds.
makes you feel like a different individual, and
Mm.
it makes you feel powerful as well. Because at the same time, I always tell people you're an example of what to do and what not to do. So if you
Mm.
want that inspiring moment, always know it's gonna come from a positive action or a negative action you do.
Right. Okay. Let's go ahead. Emotional intelligence. A lot of people don't spend enough time developing within this particular part of the conversation. So emotional intelligence is right now we're in a culture where people tell people to feel and then express the feeling. We don't tell people, let's go back and analyze the feeling. Let's get back to why we feeling this way. What triggered it? Let's go back, you know what I'm saying, maybe historically, let's put knowledge and information into it. Let's put time into it before we just open our mouth and act. So it's like we quick to act, slow to think. So emotional intelligence is just really us defining how we feel and why we feel that way. So um, social media, it gives everybody within a couple of seconds to express how they feel,
Mm.
to the point to where now people don't even actually try to solve their problems anymore. What they do is they go on a rant on social media. Celebrities do it, average people do it, everybody does it. You know what I'm saying? We get into a space now. I was talking to my dad to where, you know, like sometimes we tell people happy birthday through social media now. We don't even call the person, you know what I mean? And be real with them and express these emotions to them. We express it to a platform. So it's like we're taking away a human interaction. But emotional intelligence is key because it goes back to being biased and non-biased. We like to correlate right and wrong with our emotions all in one combination, and then we feel away and then we go out and act. So what can slow this process down of acting inappropriately based on what we're feeling is analyzing the situation and actually studying, like you said, right and wrong. There's no absolute truth. Like 80 degrees here won't feel the same somewhere else. So
Mm.
there's no absolute truth. So a lot of times our ego, our emotions being hurt, a lot of times we have adults that don't know how to articulate or communicate because for one, they probably was never forced to, or they just go around thinking they don't owe anybody anything. A conversation is beneath them. So just imagine how many personal relationships, business relationships, family ties, imagine how many things could have been saved for the betterment, you know what I'm saying, of everybody involved if we just work on that emotional intelligence.
Mm.
So that's my part on that. We have to stop feeling so much and acting on feelings before we actually find out what these feelings are.
Mm.
And like I say, check the ego. I would never say throw the ego completely away because sometimes it can serve your purpose. But
Oh,
check
that.
the ego, check your pain, check your inner hurt. You know what I'm saying? A lot of times you can respond to somebody else based on something that you haven't healed within yourself.
Mm.
So it's not the person that you should get emotional with, it's really you should get emotional with. So they go back to healing. Healing is a lifelong journey. I kind of love it to hear people say, "Oh, I'm over something." How do you know?
Ah.
How do you know? You know what I'm saying? You can be over to a particular point or level, but you still can get triggered somewhere. That's why you got your conscious and your subconscious. So never be that arrogant to say, "Hey, I know I'm over something. I'm healed from that." The religious people say, "Oh, I'm delivered from that. God saved me from that." How do you know? You know what I'm saying? If we put you in the right situation at the right time, let's see if you really stand on that truth you're talking about.
Mm.
And yeah,
Reactivation can come right then and there.
right. And life is always gonna test you. If
Mm.
you're that arrogant to say you over something, it's like that's when life really be like, all right, bet, let's see. So always work on your emotional intelligence.
Right. So there's a saying I'm gonna tell y'all right now. I want everybody to keep this in mind. You can sound smart to dumb people, but you might be the dumb person to smart people.
Mm.
So I always want to grow with information and emotions and all that stuff, right? One of the things about myself, I get told I'm arrogant, and I'm like, hey, look, I face it. Like, yeah, hey, just prove me wrong. You know what I'm saying? I'm one of those people. When you prove me wrong, I'll go study. I'll go retrack. I'll go work on some stuff, right?
Mm.
I feel like that's the best way for some individuals to learn at the same time. But at the same time, can I also say like being the way I am doesn't also hinder me for progressive relationships because they're already looking at it like, well, he got to be proved wrong, so we can't teach him something right now. So I always got to check my ego at the same time when I'm around different people. That's why I always tell people like, look, no matter how much I talk on podcasts, online, or when I'm with X, trust me, when I'm with a different crowd, I'm not talking as much unless I know on a specific subject I can chime in or do something of that nature, right? It's one of those moments where as you take in information, you get a chance to observe other people's body language, right? I'm not gonna go somewhere and a person knows like been in that field for like 10 years and I'm just like, hey man, I studied the basis. Why don't you just do this and that? And like, yo, I've been doing this for quite some time. I think I know what I'm doing. But you know what I'm saying? Like individuals who will come into different industries thinking they can tweak it and make it better. And one of the things that I always say is, hey,
Mm.
look, don't reinvent the wheel, just improve it. So that's one of the methods that we have to be also able to do. Um, I want to ask you. Let me ask you some question real quick, man.
Right.
When it comes to growing in time, is there something that you wanted to reject as long as you could before growing? I give you one of mine.
Mm.
Sure, man. I didn't know if I wanted to leave a different realm or a world before just trying to focus on another one. I always enjoyed walking to different realms so much in different stages of my life. It was just fascinating. But realizing if I don't stay in one realm long enough, I might not ever advance in my life.
Yeah. I got two answers for that, man. Um, First answer, I would say like the quote unquote hood mentality. Surpassing that is tough. I mean, it's still tough even now because it's certain things. Like I say, hey, once you say, hey, I'm at a particular level, life is like, all right, bet, let's see. So it's so many situations where you can easily like revert back to your old behavior, old thinking. Sometimes you really don't catch that shit till you already in the mix, and you're like, I don't belong here. What the fuck am I
Yeah.
doing? Why am I having this kind of conversation? Why am I doing this? You know what I'm saying? And you just sometimes it's like when you driving in the car and you just looking at a little mirror right there in front of you. You're like, God damn, what am I doing? You just catch yourself in act, and you're like, fuck. I thought I was past this shit. You know what I'm saying? It's like sometimes it's amazing. Like we can have a particular type of podcast, and I can say something within a podcast and be like, all right, bet survivor's guilt. I'm over that. Boom. Then all of a sudden I start thinking about, you know what I'm saying, like one of the dead homies, and I'm like, fuck. And then I go, you know what I'm saying, look at pictures or whatever, and I get, you know what I'm saying, connecting with that old feelings and all that shit. And then next thing I know, I'm listening to like, you know, gang music and shit the next day. You know, it's this type of things happen. You know what I'm saying? So that's like something that constantly takes work because you have your higher nature and your lower nature. A lot of people think that they get so high that they surpass the low nature of themselves, and that's not balance. You always stand in the medium, right? But you always fight to participate in the higher nature more. It's easier to go lower than to go higher. You know what I mean? And then I would say
Say again. What you say?
it's always
Yeah.
it's harder to go to your higher nature. It's always easier to tap into your lower nature because it's always there. You know what I'm saying? It's always there. It's easy to
Oh.
fuck up. It's very hard sometimes to do right and improve and to keep doing right. So I would say that and the whole like religious and spiritual thing. Like it was very hard for me to kind of like grow outside of the religious mind, tap into more so the spiritual mind, and tap into the history of the main religions that we introduced to here in America.
Mhm.
Even now, I'm studying like ancient Sumeric,
Samaritans,
Sumer,
Kemet, yeah.
uh, right, Mesopotamia, all these ancient places. You know what I'm
Mm.
saying? And just looking at these different tablets to see, okay, where did they get these stories of creation from? How did these structures come into place? Like going back past 6,000 years of information and going down that rabbit hole even further than what I thought I knew. And it's like, damn, it takes you to really not, like I said in the beginning, you don't want to be loyal to your intellect at the particular moment. That's something you always want to expand on. So it's going to cause you to kind of be like, not go against your truth at the particular moment, but it will allow, you always want to have the ability to question. That's human evolution. The minute we stop questioning shit, no matter what it is, we stop evolving.
That's right.
I see so many people that be like, all right, I ain't religious, I'm spiritual, but then they still mix the religion with the spirituality. And I'm like, okay, well, we still kind of like, we juggling. You know what I'm saying? One is taking us here and you kind of like still going downward. You know what I mean?
Right.
Going back to knowledge and information. So those would be my two answers, man. That's the hardest thing. Um, I'll take it somewhere else. One things that stop people from growing is they don't know how to respect other people and give them their props.
God damn it, write that down. Give props. Give thanks.
So
Give me, praise me, nigga. My fault.
so for example, you know what I mean? Like me and Juice, a lot of people will kind of like look at us and be like, all right, they're like, some people will say like they're equally opposite. What I like to say is that what I don't have energetically, he has. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes we have the same energy in certain conversations or certain viewpoints. But for example, if me and Juice having a conversation and the conversation steers towards business, acquisitions, and all this type of shit, I listen more than the talk. You know what I'm saying? I can check myself on that and be like, all right, bro been involved in more business, you know what I'm saying, situations than I have. He studies business more than me. So sometimes we try to see everybody eye level, and sometimes that can fuck you
Mm.
because you have to be able to be real with yourself and just know when some people got the edge over you in certain areas. So now you actually can grow. You know what I'm saying? And then some people get, like I say, Juice knows business. I could be so much in my ego, I got a question about business. Instead of me calling Juice, hey, and getting the information for free, I can go pay somebody to give me the information he could have gave me for free. Am I really growing throughout time? Well, maybe, but I'm wasting time and I'm wasting money because I could just hit bro up. You know what I mean? Like we have to value the people that's in our lives and get them their props. You know what I'm saying? When they surpass us in certain areas, we have to understand that, you know, everybody want to be religious and spiritual and be like everything happened for a reason, but they never want to put themselves at the bottom of that reason. They always want to be at the top. They always want to be the savior, the prophet, or the smarter person, or the blessing in somebody else's life. But they don't never want to give nobody else that pedestal. You
Or
know what
they
I
don't
mean?
want to be
So
accountable. I'll be honest. Some people just
right.
don't want to be accountable for some of those situations,
Right.
man.
Yeah, so I would say that that's my next point, man. Definitely value people for the knowledge and the information and the energy that they have. Stop trying to make everybody your equal on every single level when they're not. And just give people their props. That's okay. That allows you to grow more. You want to grow faster in less time. You don't want to take the long route all the time.
Woo-hoo, bars
And,
right
it,
there, man.
and this will be my last close off on this.
Go ahead, man. Go ahead, man.
I have a problem with asking people for help. Let's say if it's something I know nothing about, I won't ask nobody no questions on it, most likely. I would try to at least get the ground level information. That way, when I do ask you for help, you're not wasting your time giving me basic information that I could have figured out on my own.
Mm.
So now when I get your time, we're gonna go, we're gonna get to a higher level faster because I already know the basics. That's just me. Before I just ask you, hey, give me this cheat code, give me this, I don't know nothing about this. I'm gonna first get ground level. That way when I ask you for help, we can actually go somewhere faster. I'm always about how do I get somewhere faster, right? So you got it.
Oh no, man, that was great. That was great right there. Definitely. I was gonna also say, as you grow with time, start learning to appreciate good people, man. Like I made a post earlier this week. I was like, look, uh, don't miss out on good people. It's rare already. I don't think y'all understand like how powerful good people are. Because look, if everybody was good in the world, y'all think the world would be a better place, wouldn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. So the people that you do come across just happen to be good to you or good to situations or good relationships, man. Cater that relationships, man. One of my favorite things is building relationships, right? One of my favorite lines by Larry June, he said, uh, "You can't get everything back. Build relationships." So relationships are the things that help sustain life within you or even your networks and situations. Um, I was to say as we grow through time as well, like also evolve your relationships, like step outside the box. I done had conversations with people I thought I'd never have conversations with, but at the same time, I'm a curious mind. I like to have conversations with everybody. I like to be proven. Like I said, I'm a person that wants to learn. I also like to be proven wrong or just a different uh, outcome. Like I said, one of the different things I ever heard in my life is, everybody calls themselves king and queen, right? A man had a perception. I thought it was crazy at first, but I liked it at the same time. But like, look, a reason why some men can't get the women they want is because they're not a king yet. These women are queens already, and you got to become a king in order to get a queen. I was like, sound like a little pandering and coddling, but at the same time, I was like, okay, I kind of get his point, right? That's because people are looking for individual to be at a certain status, certain composure, certain qualities. So I was like, sometimes you don't have those qualities right then and there when you approach people. So I was like, okay, I gotta give them that. Some of those qualities develop over time, and you start getting around different people that help you home in on these skills and be in these environments to where they start getting what's the word I want to they can start getting used. So that's all I got for right there for that information is just learn to build better relationships and learn different perspectives on how to become better at the same time.
Okay. Kind of tapping in on what you're talking about. Like when we talk about high value, you know what I'm saying, men, women, whatever, we can't get to high value until we first understand what is value.
Mm-hmm.
Then we can increase the value and then work our way up to quote unquote high value. But the more we increase in value, the more we should look at tangibility. Like what what is showing the improvement in our lives?
The
Some
physical,
people look at
the
it and right. Some people look at it immaturely. Some people, to them, the tangibility is jewelry. Some people is cars. Some people is improving where they live at. You know what I mean? Some people it's improving where they shop at. You know what I'm saying? Where they eat at. This is the non-biased perception of it. But I would just simply say that if you quote unquote want to be high value, you want to be that all the way around. You don't
mm,
want to just have it from a blue collar perspective. You know what I mean? You want to have it from all angles. So if we look at men, some men tap into high value from a blue collar perspective, but their energy not right. So when they come across these women, they like, okay, bet. The only thing you have is money. The only thing you have, right? So you know what I mean? Like, so ego, personality, character, knowledge, information, body, fitness, health, acquisitions, money, liquidation, all these things should be high value. Your ambition should never stop on none of these levels if you really want to increase your value. So what's going to happen? If I'm really growing through our life, I'm really focused on manifesting my reality, getting all my ideas out my head, putting them right in front of me in the physical form. I'm going to be less worried about what another motherfucker is doing. I'm not really going to be competing with nobody really at that particular level because I'm competing with myself. I'm looking in the mirror. I'm so locked in. Hey, today you said you was going to accomplish this. You ain't do that shit. I got to chastise myself, nudge myself. You know what I mean? Like, I tell people a lot of times, simple shit. Like, I always keep a whiteboard on my refrigerator. You know what I'm saying? I really was using it at one particular point. I don't use it no more. But I tell people, yo, get you a whiteboard. Write down 3 or 4 things. You got some whiteboard with more than 3 or 4 things on there.
I stay with these whiteboards, man.
Get you a whiteboard. Put you 3 or 4 things on that whiteboard that you want to accomplish throughout that day. If you don't accomplish all that shit, find a way to punish yourself. Whether it's a workout, whatever. You know what I'm saying? Keep yourself intact with your own personal goals and ideas. I promise you, you'll be less worried about what somebody else is buying, how much money they making, who they fucking, who they
Stop
talking to.
paparazzi. Stop worrying about where
You'll
somebody.
be less worried about that shit. Your conversations won't be about what Drake doing and what Nicki Minaj doing and 21 Savage. Your conversations won't even be so in tune with all that shit. I promise you, you won't be able to tell everybody what's going on in every TV show. I know people that watch every TV show on fucking earth. No bullshit. They watch every sport, every TV show, every movie. And it's like, if you don't accomplish what you want to out of life, you got to be real with yourself. What the fuck did you do with your 24 hours? And I'll shut up on that. Use your time to improve yourself and manifest what's in your head. You got the same 24 hours that everybody else got. So you got it, man.
Mm-hmm. I want y'all to understand. You know what a billion seconds is?
Man, I just seen some shit about that.
Huh?
I just seen some shit about that.
Yeah, that was
Joe
crazy. A billion seconds is
Yeah, you
31
seen that
years.
shit. Yeah, 31 years or some shit like that.
31 years. I
Yeah.
said, like, I don't think sometimes people understand the
Shouts
leap
out
of
to Joseph, man.
time. I'm like, yo,
Yeah.
that's crazy. Like, I was scratching my head, like,
Right.
what the fuck?
Right.
So a lot of people have a big overall vision of how they want things to happen, but every second counts. You know what I'm saying? For instance, on my half, even for today, on my part for today, I literally stopped for a little second because a friend of mine had cooked some food, so I ate a little bit before I went back to work. But I knew in my head, I was like, yo, I got 15 minutes, I need to be out. I ended up staying for like 30 minutes as to why I was running late as well. But it's time like that even I had to go back, like, yo, time is really of the essence. Even if you go 5 minutes overboard to 10 minutes overboard, that can push back anything. So, like that dictionary with the time, like you got to start valuing it as much as possible. Like for myself, I've been working. I'm 31 now. Since 26, I've been working 6 to 7 days a week. I've been working 6 to 7 days a week. I told myself, look, I got a lot of stuff I got to get off for next year. Like I'm about to cut down to at least 5 days a week. That way I can start working and getting more things off that I've been writing down on my boards to business to help get this thing off the platform a little bit. Better cameras, do better everything. It's just that like they said, if you give your time to something that's not helping you get somewhere in life, then you won't get there as fast as enough. And I'm like, look, I got to be able to put more time into energy to things I really want to get off the ground. So that's some of the things that you want to reevaluate is how you structure your time and how you give it out. I look back. I look back over those last couple of like 4 years. What's that? 26. Last 5 years. I'm like, damn, I did miss out on some stuff. But at the same time, I can honestly say, even though I missed out on some stuff, I've been able to upgrade my lifestyle at the same time. So was it really that bad that I missed out? No, because I look at every point in my life as a stepping stone. Like we always want to go up. We don't really want to go back. That's one of the main things. So if it cuts down on fun, it cuts down on me going on dates, it cuts down on certain things, but I can still get what I want in the end, I feel like it's fucking worth it.
Man, one of my last points is self-doubt. Right, this can cripple you throughout time. Some of us are perfectionists. We like to do everything right, perfect, down to the T, critical. But what tends to happen is we don't even really live up to that image all the time, right? So this brings about self-doubt. So I'll give you a story. There's plenty of times where I work out a lot, I train. And sometimes thinking in that image of being a perfectionist, I'm always looking at what body parts I need to train more. What can I do better this time? It keeps me hustling, it keeps me moving, it keeps me working, but sometimes it could like kind of cripple me because I don't see the results if it's not the results I want to see.
Mm.
And I overlook progression. And sometimes I gotta ask other people, hey, how I look from 6 months ago from now and all this shit. I gotta listen to other people's validation because I can't give myself the validation because of self-doubt.
Mm.
So I can go into the gym with all this in my head. And it never fails. I can go thinking about that shit, and then somebody come up to me, yo, hey, let me ask you a question. How did you get this? How did you? A lot of us go through these moments in our lives. We doubt ourselves so much because we don't see the progression because we only see the vision long term. And that's
Right.
good, but it can also be bad, right? Because you still have to count your growth and your progression.
Mm.
Sometimes it takes other people to remind us who the fuck we are sometimes.
Mm.
You know what I mean? It's just like, you know what I'm saying? If you're thinking at the long game, you always have to balance yourself out.
Mm.
So self-doubt can cripple your growth throughout time because you feel like you just need more time when it's like sometimes you really don't need that much more time. You're already right there. Like the finish line is literally right there, but your mind is telling you you're not there yet. You know what I'm saying? So you always want to be self-aware, uh, work on that self-doubt. You know what I'm saying? It's something that we all deal with. And accept failure. Failure is part of the process. You don't get to success without failure. You know what I'm saying? You don't get to joy and love without pain. Like everything happens in a full circle. Everything is balanced between both positive and negative, quote unquote. So you got to be able to accept all of that to grow and navigate throughout time. A lot of us just want to get to all the good and never experience the bad. And then sometimes when things get so good, we think that bad's still not going to happen. So it's based on your perception. Like I said earlier, what is bad? What is good? If I can't lose and the only thing I can do is win and become better, this is an opportunity. This is not a failure. Failure can be your best opportunity that you have in life. And going back to working out, like you see people lift 200, 225, 315. You see them lift that shit, but you don't see the 10, 20 times they failed at it.
Mm.
So what happens? You have muscle memory. Every time your body struggles with weight or opposition, that experience gets decoded in your DNA.
Mm.
So when you actually do lift 225 or 315, it's like the muscle memory remembers my body knows how to fight this. My cells know how to respond to the stress of this.
Mm.
So a lot of times it's not the fact that you're not strong enough to lift it. It's just the fact you haven't lifted it before. So it's a new experience to your body. So your body don't know how to react to it. God damn it. I'm done, man. I'm done.
Man,
Sometimes I said,
yeah, you can say shit.
sometimes you question your strength, but it's just the fact that your body, your cells, your mind just haven't experienced it yet. It's not that you're not strong enough. You actually have the strength to do whatever the fuck you want to do. You just haven't experienced the full ride of that, the full emotions of that. You know what I mean? So some people challenge themselves on a daily basis. They call it nudging themselves. Some people know if they can run 2 miles, bet. I'm gonna challenge myself to run 3. 3 turn into 4. Like that's the progression of life. Challenge yourself. But I know a lot of people that's like they always seek comfort. They're like pussies mentally. They never want to challenge themselves. When they get into one advancement, they stay there.
Mm.
Keep that same hunger. It's like a dog with the pink thing. Like you gotta keep that same hunger. Keep the arousal of life. Even if you advance, you don't want to neuter yourself. You don't want to get yourself spayed. You don't want to chop your own pink thing off. Keep that hunger. The only way you keep that hunger is if you keep challenging yourself. You know what I'm saying? What Jay-Z said, he's like, in one song, he's like, I want 1 million. Nah, fuck it, I want 1 billion. And came back, nah, fuck it, I want 1 trillion. Like, that's not greed. That's just a person that wants to utilize their life to the maximum effect. Live life on 10. What makes you quote unquote alpha, what makes you quote unquote whatever is that you live life on your edge.
Mm-hmm.
Ain't no safety nets. We're gonna take risks as much as smart risks, not the negative risks. We're gonna take risks as much as we can, and we're gonna continue to grow and advance. We're not gonna stop until the time clock is over. So that's how you grow throughout time, constantly challenge yourself. So
Right, that's right. The day I die is the day I give up on everything I want. That's how you should literally live your life. Because shit, I mean, sure, to your dying, like I said, your dying breath. I remember I had to break it down to one of my friends. I was like, bro, I feel my way up the ladder. And he was like, what do you mean? I said, all right, bro, have you ever ran up the stairs and you tripped? He said, yeah. Did you take a step up again? Yeah. Okay, that's what I did. I said, have you ever lost your balance going up the stairs? You had to take a step back? Yeah, that's failing to go back up, bro. So I'm just breaking it down on him for just small different steps that you fail your way to go up at the same time. Because if you know what I'm saying, even the people who make the fastest progress still got hit with a brick eventually. You know what I'm saying? Like, for instance, y'all do know the biggest businesses in the world get sued the most, right?
yeah.
They get sued the most. So I'll be hearing people like, yeah, I want $1 million, $1 million. I'm like, okay, cool. Like, just make sure you're prepared for the levels when you get up there. Those, like I'm saying, like every step you take is a new preparation for something you need to be ready for.
Yes, sir. And looking at businesses, we can look at like Apple. Everybody got an iPhone. Everybody got iPads. But what happened?
They get sued.
Apple is going through some shit. Supply chain issues in China, moving shit to India. You know what I'm saying? People going on strike. You don't see all of that. So now they think, damn, the iPhone 14 is going to be a slower process for them getting them out throughout Christmas. Like, this is what these businesses go through behind closed doors. But with the poor mentality or the average mentality, you think just because they like one of the top businesses in America or worldwide that everything is good. You don't see the business flow going up and down. You don't see the stock price dropping. You don't see none of that. You just think just because that product is saturated throughout everybody's reach that shit is going good. So if businesses have to constantly check their balance sheet. Everybody in your personal life, you should have a balance sheet of yourself. What we need to grow at, what we haven't grown at, what our money look like now versus what it did last year.
Costs. Cut costs. Cut people out. When you cut costs, that means cut people out.
Yes, sir.
People who cost you time. People who cost you money. People who cost you pain. People who cost you. Hey, yo, take that goddamn balance sheet, man. I mean, take that. Oh man, you costing me bullshit. I gotta block you. Gotta let you go.
Appreciate it. Yeah, so if the top companies and businesses in the world have to continuously check themselves and be real and adapt and grow and constantly make changes, who the fuck are we? That's the question. Who the fuck are we to just expect everything to be smooth on a day-to-day basis? You know what I mean? A lot of these companies, they got to vote people in, vote people out. The main objective is to make sure that the business is successful. It's nothing personal. It's just business.
It's just business. So, hey, man, you ain't been taking care of your shit, man. I gotta let you go.
Right. So we just gotta study these type of things. You know what I mean? It happens on every level. Some companies go through situations to where other companies can throw dirt on their name, and now that company starts suffering because they gotta fight this. Like, studying business is very powerful. Just seeing how these companies operate and move, especially now everybody talking about being an entrepreneur. I don't want to hear you talk about being an entrepreneur and you're not studying the stock exchange. You're not studying other businesses to see how they operate and how they fixing their problems. You have to study these things in order to learn. These are the blueprints before you. Let's learn from these businesses. So that's all I got, man.
Man, last business. I'll tell you right now, one of my favorite stores is Sam Walton, the owner of Walmart and Sam's Club.
Okay.
One reason why he's one of my favorite entrepreneurs and businessmen is because this man, when he was already making millions of dollars, he was still studying the competition, right? Imagine an old white guy coming into your store. He got a measuring tape. He's getting on the ground. He's talking to your employees, and I was just like,
"Yo,
what's up with him?" He had a lot of humility, right? He's the guy that he said it was like, well, one of his employees asked him, like, yo, why are you always going to your competitor stores and never your own store? He said, I know everything about my store. I need to learn what they may know at another store. I was like, what the fuck? So like I said, like, and
Mhm.
Sam Walton was one of those guys who actually went to, he was the guy that traveled to every Walmart store and opened it himself. That's what I was like, yo, I don't think like people understand like his story is to me personally, I like it. I love it. Like I said, he had a lot of humility. He would go to his own grand openings for every store, talk to the
Mhm.
people in town. He'll leave a meeting and literally go to the competitor store and just like I said, he would do a measuring tape because he would be like, okay, if they measure their aisles this much for this length, okay, about maybe 5 customers to 6 customers will be able to walk off in the aisle this big. I was like, what the fuck? Like he was really doing that stuff, and I was like, yo,
Mhm.
he like
Right.
that's the thing about business is studying your competitors, and if you can't implement it into your own business, do it as well. Like that's one of the main things why people stay surviving or thriving. It's one of those two. You either
Mm.
gonna keep expanding because you learn from the mistakes or you learn how to improve, or you just gonna be like, hey, look, all we need to do is maintain and you'll just be there.
Surviving and thriving. Man, look, it's homeless people that survive. They still got clothes on their back. They still find shelter. I know homeless people that can tell you everything that's on TV. I don't know how the fuck they can do that, but they living their life. They still surviving. We never want to get to a point to where we just survive. We always want to thrive, right? And then just going back to what you was talking about with Walmart, the biggest company that made the most money throughout Black Friday sales, e-commerce space, was Walmart. People don't understand how big that is. Walmart was the big dog at one point. They not the big dog no more. You got Amazon, Microsoft, uh, Google, which is
Google,
Alphabet.
Microsoft,
You know what I
yeah,
mean?
right.
Meta. You got all these companies, right, that took that. So what is Walmart doing now? They're building with Amazon. They're getting more into. I don't know if y'all seen them Walmart trucks in y'all neighborhood delivering packages. Like Walmart is tapping it. Like they're constantly adapting to what's going on. Like you don't stay number one. Like Juice, you said some powerful shit. I don't know if you want to say it, but if you want to be top dog in anything, alpha, whatever, you
Mhm.
fight your way to the top and you fight to stay at the top.
Right, yeah,
Being at
it's
the
and the
top,
king
you
of the
just
hill.
don't get comfortable because you're at the top. Somebody gonna take that shit from you.
Right.
And even if they take it from you, how do we get back to the top?
Yes.
I'm not just gonna talk about the glory days to when I was on top and be comfortable. Now I'm surviving. I'm not thriving no more. Because now I'm
Mhm.
just living off old successful moments. I want to be successful every fucking day. So how do I stay on top? And if you fall to number two, number three, that's fine. How do we get back to being number one?
Correct.
Morally intact. Let's let's put that, let's keep the let's morally intact. How do we get back to the number one spot? That's why I like studying businesses, man. They always compete. They fight over space and territory. Sometimes they combine platforms just to. It happens all the time, and nobody got to die. You know what I mean? It doesn't get into a negative space. It's really just business. It happens every day. So that's
Right.
why I got.
Right. Like business to cut costs just to eliminate you. Hey, look,
Mm-hmm.
we got to cut costs for a year, but guess what? They'll be gone. Like business, like they'll do that for a whole year just to eliminate you and be like, they're
Mm-hmm.
gone. Put the price right back up. Like I'm telling you, like I said, it's I'm a very competitive person, extra competitive person. We understand like to get to the top, you got to fight your way up there, and then you got to prevent anybody from taking your spot. This is in every area of life,
Mm-hmm.
right? They don't think like the young bucks that get in these companies don't look at, yeah, I want to be the CEO, I want to be this, I want to do that. The people who are there are looking at them like, all right. They go, is you gonna fight to get their position, or they'll cut you themselves. It's a cutthroat game.
Mm-hmm.
Or you do the right things that bring you up with them. Because look, they might not like their
Mm-hmm.
co-partner that's on the same level as them. They like, hey, look, do this and do that. Look, we got some stuff going on the inside, and if you work right, you can be right next to us. Like I said, like, or they might
Mm-hmm.
put you in another division to run another regional. Like it's a lot of stuff where I say like you got to be competitive in this world. The people who don't compete, they sleep, man. That's the best way I can tell you, man. That's why
Um,
when I finally got it across to one of my homegirls one day, she was crying about women's pay, right? And I laughed, and she was like, "Why are you laughing?" I said, "Look, this is my problem. I got real women that's in business in these different categories in life, industries. They would laugh at y'all, not because they're at the top, because that's y'all's only excuse. It's like y'all don't get paid. They'll tell you they jumped to 2 to 3 different companies before they got the pay they want. They never demanded to sit in one spot and get everything they wanted. They will go to different companies and learn more skills in order to get what they want or they
mhm,
work,
mhm,
right? For instance, and I compared it to a relationship. I was like, some of y'all been in relationships expecting marriage, knowing y'all not gonna get it. But guess what? You've been there long enough. You ain't
mhm,
gonna fucking leave. You just gonna bitch.
mhm,
Instead of just moving forward and trying to get what you want. And
mhm,
that's one of the things you got to be able to understand. Some things is going to require you to move around in order to get it. Don't ever stay stuck somewhere where you're not growing or you're not getting the things you want. But at the same time, reevaluate yourself. Ask yourself, has your value been improving? Right? I told X, like, one of my philosophies for myself. I was like, look, every man should have one physical skill or one digital skill.
mhm.
Like I said, I'll be going into tech next year, and I'll be learning how to drive trucks. Finally got my letter that came in February 25th. Like I said, I got skills to make, man. I got things I want to improve. I like the tech industry. I like the trucking business. So shit, it's nothing to get into it.
All right. My last key point. Let's say you was number one at a particular space, or number two, number three, whatever.
Hmm?
And let's say you're still putting your best foot forward, and you just really can't advance up the ranks. Sometimes this happens.
Right.
You just have to be happy and comfortable with the fact that you tried your best,
Hmm?
you know? So now what happens? You may have somebody within your family lineage, a friend or somebody that has the capability to surpass what you've done. So now morals intact. Do we give this younger person the game so that they can surpass us? Are we comfortable with being the number two or the number three or the number four guy and
Hmm?
somebody else being number one? You
Hmm?
know what I mean? Like behind every great successful idol in any level of life, celebrity, sports, entertainment, whatever, they have people in a personal circle that probably could have been greater than them, but they just didn't make it happen.
Hmm?
So they could have been so bitter that they stopped LeBron James from becoming LeBron James. They stopped Kobe Bryant from becoming Kobe. They stopped Michael Jordan from becoming Michael Jordan because they couldn't make it to that level.
Hmm?
Everybody got their part. Everybody got their role. Even if you not number one, are you at least happy and comfortable that you could produce a number one? Your energy could contribute to somebody else surpassing you. And that's what we struggle with a lot of times in culture, in our culture, not just like black or white, Hispanic, whatever, but the human civilization sometimes doesn't advance because nobody wants to pass the torch.
Woo!
Dr. Umar did a Breakfast Club interview, and he was like, you shouldn't have 60-year-old people
That's what I'm about to say. The old heads.
in head spots no more. You shouldn't be 60-year-old a leader now. You should fall. You could be a leader, but within a particular capacity, somebody you should be training somebody else to take your spot.
Why?
What happens is a lot of people die being number one, and they never train nobody to take their spot. So when you die, not only does the library of information die with you, but you never prepared nobody else to pass that torch to.
Correct.
So now the whole movement got to die because you went to your grave with your goal, your riches, your ego, and everything else.
Mm.
So that's something we got to think about. You know what I'm saying? We got pyramids and shit of old ancient people. We need to build new pyramids, not physically pyramids of stone and shit like that, but we have to make new accomplishments. We can't keep talking about what people did in the past. We got to reciprocate these type of things now. We got to carbon and copy these things now. So don't get too caught up in being number one. That's a character flaw.
Mm-hmm.
We should always think, who can we pass the torch to? Who are we preparing to take our spot?
Mm-hmm.
So that's my close off, man.
Definitely, definitely. Because, like we say, you got people starting LLCs, right? That's like the new wave too, like starting an LLC. I think
Everybody.
it's like a new wave.
Everybody.
I think it's like a new wave right now. You got
Mm,
people like you was talking about the custodian.
mm.
You was doing that you plan on doing with your with your little one.
Yeah,
So
custodial accounts.
yeah, a custodial account. So you're already putting something in play for her to a point where she gets an age, be like, hey, now guess what? You need to do the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
So it's already information that's already passed down that you have to already set up in place.
Mm-hmm.
Like for instance, I talk about life insurance all the time. When my mom was like, "Yo, get some life insurance, bro. It's $25 a month." I was like, "That's literally a meal. That's like lunch for some of y'all by yourselves at times. So it's $25 a month, bro. There's no excuse, bro. Like you can do that. And with all the information that you put out, like even the books. I even told you in my will, I plan on writing books down, having certain tests you can take in order to like inherit X amount of money. Like I'm preparing myself for the future, but I'm really focused now, even though that's long term. But we don't have to drag this out too long, man. Anything else you want to talk about on the subject?
And I just say, if you're living life to your fullest, you should be living life preparing for your death. That's how that works.
Oh, I
There's
told you
people
I
that,
got life
there's
insurance.
people,
That's why I'm prepared for Monday. Like, hey, look, daddy dead, but guess what, baby? I'm getting paid. No, let's go and get that money, man. Y'all, but y'all got financially literate.
so yeah, live life on your edge, man, and always prepare for the people that come after you. That's how you grow throughout time. So
Okay.
appreciate y'all for watching. You can follow bro up top, No Ordinary Brother. I go by the name of King Exodus. Follow us both individually. We got that YouTube link in that bio. Y'all follow that YouTube link, tap in. We can quit them day jobs and we ain't got to be doing 10 o'clock shows. You know what I'm saying? We can get them
You
to
know
you.
what I'm saying? Look, the
Help
investments
me
on
help
the
y'all, man.
sides. And the investments on the sides gonna take off one day though. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
It's either y'all gonna help us out.
Mhm.
The investments stay up, you know what I'm saying? Y'all gonna have to subscribe to the super chats.
Keep in touch, man. Hey, don't make me do a OnlyFans, man.
Hey,
Whatever,
look,
man.
man, the cameraman in the chat room, man. He ain't saying nothing all day. Look, man, the cameraman right there.
Yeah, he been tapping in. But yeah, we
Oh, okay,
appreciate that.
man. He don't be speaking no more, man. He came by and said,
All
all right,
right,
man.
y'all.
I'll catch you later, man. Peace.